If someone comes to me with a business or their spouse has a business, then first of all, I need to look at the accounts to see whether the business has a turnover, what does it do, does it have employees, does it own property, what does it actually do, so I can then give some advice about it. If I think the business has got value, significant value, then I would ask my opposite number, if you like, to agree with me that we should jointly instruct an accountant to value that business or to value the person's interest in that business, because they may have a shareholding in it, it might be minority shareholding, it might be majority shareholding, and that would impact on the way that the settlement is going to be dealt with. I'd also want to know about that person's income, the sustainable income from that business, because if we're going to be talking about maintenance going forward for my client, then I need to know what that person's income can be from that business. We often get asked actually when a client comes to see me whether they're going to have to sell their business. And the answer is it depends. I mean, I certainly would hope not, because the business is often the most valuable asset. So what we need to look at is look at the business, see how valuable it is. And one of the first things I often do is to say to my client, look, speak to the accountant, the business as accountant, and see what he or she thinks. On the back of a fact packet, your interest might be worth. If it's going to be worth something significant, then we know we're going to I need to instruct an expert to value that business, an accountant to value the business. And it's far better that accountant is jointly instructed by myself and by the solicitor acting for the spouse, because then both of us will rely on that, both in terms of telling us what the value is and telling us what the sustainable income is. And the next question then, of course, is, well, how does the other person who doesn't own the business or have a share in that business, how do they get compensated for that value? And that will depend. They may keep, for example, the matrimonial home. Or if the business is too valuable, then they may have to have a series of lump sums, deferred lump sums, which will be paid over a period of time. And until the final lump sum is paid, they may continue to receive periodical payments or maintenance from the spouse who's retaining that business. And that's probably the better way of dealing with that business, to maximise the value out of it, rather than ordering a sale of the shares or the business at that stage. Often clients come to see me and they've both got shares in the business, because the accountant has thought it was beneficial to get income out of the business by making them both shareholders. But they don't both necessarily work in that business. It may be that one of them is very actively involved, going out doing the marketing, doing all the active, and the other person's more passive, but getting an income from it. But in that situation, the business will probably be retained by the person who's actively involved in that business. If, however, both people are actively involved in that business, they both set it up, it's their idea and their baby, as it were, and they can't work together, then the best advice I could give is, look, let's appoint someone to be the CEO, let someone else run the business, you both take an income by way of dividend, and then that person, you can build it up in order to sell it down the road. But if you really can't agree even on that, and we've got to go down the court route, the court will order a sale, because if you both don't want to keep it, it will be sold. And if you both can't work together and you're both actively involved in it, a judge isn't going to prefer one of you to the other. So I would try to persuade my own client to get rid of the emotional side of it, which is obviously in the early days, too much emotion is there, and to think more commercially about it. How can we deal with it in the best commercial way for my client and actually for the whole family?